Hi, this is Shaman from Ludovox. So today I'm going to give you a brief overview of Czech. This is a game for 3 to 6 players, age 7 and plus, and with a game duration of about 15 minutes. So, in Czech, your goal is to create and perform the best series of hand checks so that you can earn some victory points. Basically, every player will belong to two teams, one with a player at his right and one with a player at his left. And basically, we're going to build series of hand check in these two teams, and at the moment during the game, we're going to perform this check with the player and then earn some victory point. At the end of the game, you get point from one theory of hand check that you made with the player at your left and one with the player at the right, and you add up the point and you get your final score. The one with the highest score will win the game. So basically, every series of hand check is made of different cards that will represent a different move that we can have. We're going to have some turn where we're going to add some cards into series, trying to do something that is easy to memorize, and the opponent will try to make it more complicated for us by adding cards that will disrupt a bit the logic or the ability to remember correctly this series. When you feel ready, you will just call a check and you will try with your teammate to memorize this series. Then you will hide the card and try to perform in real time this series of checks. So this is a sign that you're going to perform with your hand, and you're going to earn some victory point depending on how good you did that. Okay, so there is an element of push your luck because you can decide to stop adding cards into your series and go for a check and then try to do it properly so you can get maximum on victory points, or you can add some card and wait a bit more, but the risk is that the other player will add some cards in your series and can make it a bit difficult for you to manage to perform it. We're going to play one after each other, and during my turn I have two options. So as I told you, I could call for a check, or I could just play two cards on series around the table. So basically I could either take one card from my hand and add it into a series, so that could be a disruptive card into an opponent's series, or I could play a good card in one of the series for a team I belong to. Here, for example, two blue card will make it more easy. Additionally, because I have very limited amount of card in my hand, I could decide to take a random card from the deck and add it into an opponent or into my series. I could also choose one of the two cards I received at the beginning of the game, which are some performance, that will add some specific constraints and specific rules I'm not forced to comply to, but I could try to perform so to get some bonus points. So the 5 standard cards that we're going to use during the game will represent the different moves that we can perform. So there will be the high five, there will be the classic, there will be the fist bump, the showdown, and finally there will be the freestyle. So the freestyle is a very special move because you're going, at the beginning of the game, you're going to define with each one of your teammates what will be your special moves. So that could be that thing with a finger, or that could be tiny funny thing, or that could be hand in the air, or whatever you want that you find funny and cool. Remember that at the end of the game, there will be a special free bonus point that will be given to, let's say, the coolest and most stylish team around the table. So you better take something that is really cool so that you can convince the other player that you chose something not only easy to remember, but something that is nice and stylish. Okay, so we're going to add some cards, and when we feel ready, we call the check. So for example, let's say I call a check and I say with my teammates at my left. So these are the cards I need to remember and do in the proper order. So I would just use this hourglass, and now I will have 1 minute with my teammate to remember that series. That would be showdown, classic, I5, I5. So it's only 4 cards, so it's really easy to remember. And when we feel ready, or when the time is over, we just give that series of cards to another player, and we start perform the series of hand check. We can do that with some rhythm or music if we want, but it's not mandatory. Additionally, there could be some special performance card that we added to to this series. So here, for example, this card will give 2 bonus points if we start our series with that move and we end again the series with that move. So here, for example, if I want to perform that series, okay, and without looking at it, that would be, oh sorry, with the performance, that would be the thing with the fist, then we have the showdown, the classic, the high five twice, and then we finish with that. The opponent that is in charge of checking that I'm doing that right will not say anything until I'm finished. During that that performance, I could stop, or my teammate can stop at any time saying, wait a minute, I think we are wrong, we're going to start it over. In which case, we're going to remove 2 cards from the series and do it again. That means that we won't be able to get these 2 additional points, because at the end of the performance, we get 1 point for each card that was performed properly. Okay. Additionally, if you get it wrong in the middle of the series, here for example, let's say I do showdown, classic, fist bump, high five, which means that this one was wrong, then you get only the point for the card that were properly performed before the first error, before the first mistake, which means that even if this last high five was fine, I'm not going to get the point for it. So that could be especially bad if at the beginning of your series you get your second card wrong, but all the rest of the series is fine. If you get the whole series right, then you get a bonus 3 points plus 1 point for each card that will go under your team card, and that's it. So for a good series here, I would get 7 points. If I had added some performance card, they will go also under the team card, and this is some bonus points that we get. The performance cards are never mandatory, but that is something that awards some bonus points, and also that is something we can use to convince the other player that we are the most stylish team. Okay, so the game ends when everybody has performed all this check. That means that all the team have been completed, wrong or properly, let's say, and we can just add up the point from the 2 teams we belong to, and the people with the higher score will just win the game. So you know almost everything about check, so now it's your turn. Go ahead and play.